Welcome to this episode of the Diary of a Lawyer, and we're going to be discussing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. As a brief background, this was during the 1948 General Assembly, which was set as as a common standard to the achievements for all peoples and all nations, according to the United Nations, and it really just sort of sets out the fundamental human rights that should be universally protected, and it has been translated according to the UN to over 500 languages. And generally, it's widely recognized as having inspired and sort of set the tone and paved the way for the adoption of more than around, according to the UN, 70 human rights treaties, which are applied today on a permanent basis at a global level and regional levels. Um, that's generally, I would put it as the mother of all human rights documents. And so today we're just going to give you a quick preamble and go through the articles in general without the intrinsic and granular details. So the preamble, just generally paraphrasing, states that there is a recognition of inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family, as a foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. It goes on to say that the disregard and contempt of human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech, belief, and freedom from fear, and what has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. The other aspects of the preamble, which associate with background, go on to say that it is essential if man is not to be compelled to have recourse as a last resort to rebellion against tyranny and oppression, and that human rights should be protected by the rule of law. It goes on to say that it's also essential to promote the development of friendly relations between nations, and the peoples of the United Nations have, in the Charter, reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights and the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of men and women, and have determined to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. Last but not least, it recognized that member states did pledge themselves to achieve cooperation with the United Nations, the promotion of universal respect for an observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms, and essentially concludes that there is a common understanding of these rights and freedoms, that they are of the greatest importance for the full realization of the pledge, and the General Assembly signed off those rights in a proclamation that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations, at the end, to the end that every individual and every organ of society should keep the declaration constantly in mind, and shall strive to teach and educate, to promote respect for the rights and freedoms by progressive measures, national and international, to secure the universal and effective recognition and observance, both among the peoples of the member states of the UN, and among the peoples of territories and their jurisdiction. That is it in a nutshell regarding the preamble, the background. And so we will briefly deal with the respective articles that are actually associated with this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, commonly known as UDHR. And so Article 1 says that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, and they are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. I mean, that's self-evident, so we won't go into the intrinsic legalities, but that's self-evident. And then Article 2 goes on to say that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. And furthermore, that no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it's independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation or sovereignty. So Article 1 and 2 essentially deal with the overall sort of individual and territorial jurisdiction in which these rights are observed. Article 3 provides the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. Article 4 indicates that no one shall be held in slavery or servitude, and slavery and the trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5 states that no one shall be subject to torture, cruel, or inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. And this is almost verbatim copied into the European Convention of Human Rights, and in terms of the other countries such as the UK, the 1998 Human Rights Act, I think it's under Article 3. But you can see the nexus, the connection, that this is almost the basis, the fundamental origin of where all the other conventions, human rights convention, derive their acts, their articles from. Article 6 recognizes the right of every person before the law. Article 7 indicates that all are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. I think this is echoed especially in the US Constitution and European Convention of Human Rights under various articles. I think Article 14, if I'm to be correct. Also, it has also been translated into statutory acts in specific countries, and in the case of the UK, is the Equality Act 2010. Article 8 also deals with a number of other issues, which include the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted to the person by the Constitution and by law. Article 9 indicates that no one shall be subject to arbitrary arrest and detention or exile. Article 10 reaffirms the full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent, impartial tribunal in the determination of the rights and obligation of an individual or any criminal charge against an individual. I think this echoes Article 6 of the European Convention of Human Rights. Article 11 indicates that there are various sub-articles there that everyone charged with a penal offense has a right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty according to law in a public trial where there are all guarantees for his defense, and also prohibits holding any individual guilty of any penal offense on account of any act or commission which was not the law. So basically, it safeguards against arbitrary abuses of state power or into some sort of criminalization. Then we go to Article 12, which says that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, or home correspondence, no attacks upon his honor and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference. I think again that equals Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights. Article 13 indicates that everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state, and everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. I think that's self-evident. Article 14 indicates that everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution, and this right might not be invoked in the case of prosecution genuinely arising from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. I think this is sort of intersects with the Geneva Conventions 1951 and which were upgraded 1967, which are in my previous episodes that you can look at below. But if essentially this deals with the in cases where people are seeking persecution. Article 15 indicates that everyone has a right to a nationality, and no one shall be deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality if they wish to. Again, that's self-evident. Then Article 16 indicates that all persons, i.e. men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality, or religion, have the right to marry and found a family, and entitled to equal right as to marriage during marriage and dissolution. Obviously, in the modern times, that has sort of, uh, depending on the state's legislation, has also been upgraded to accommodate the changing nature of society. Um, Article it goes on to say that marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of intending spouses. That's self-evident. And it states that the family is a natural and fundamental group unit of society, which is entitled to protection by society and the state. Obviously, um, that may slightly um, differ from the modern reflections of what family is, but I think the fundamental principle there is that however family looks like, they're entitled to the protection by society on the state. And then we go to Article 17, which states that everyone has a right to own property alone as well as in association with others, self-evident, and no one shall be deprived of his or her property. Article 18 says everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and that right includes the freedom to change his religion and belief, and freedom of either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. And so, I mean, let's just adjust the camera a little bit here. So that's one event, and then Article 19 um, says that everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression, and this right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Article 20 refers to the right to freedom of assembly and peaceful association, and the other associated rights. Article 21 has the right, indicates that everyone has to take part in the government of his country directly or through freely chosen representatives. So it basically deals with political rights and equal access to public service, and recognizes the will of people on the basis of government through peaceful democratic elections and equal suffrage by secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures. Um, so then So the number of articles which go up to Article 30, Article 22 is a custom of society. So we should leave this here now up to Article 22, and then we'll pick it up from there to the remaining articles. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon.